Complete and Utter Bograts. A short history of the band known as the Bograts in 6 chapters. Chapter 1. Bernie and the Burning Bograts, for that is their full name, infamous peddlers of musical ineptitude of staggering proportions, unjustly maligned potential maestros, both of these or even neither. Listen on and let the following tale help you make your mind up. Even the mighty oak was once a mere acorn, and the distant acorn days of the Bograts have increasingly come to exist in the realm of myth and legend. However, one thing that is certain is that the story starts with a person called Laurence or Laz Clarke. He was a friend of the people who would one day be the Bograts, and they all went to school together in Southend, England. Like lots of young lads, they wanted to be in a band, but nothing much was coming of it until one day, in summer 1980, Laz spontaneously blurted, "Well then, why not call yourself Bernie and the Burning Bograts?" He only meant it as a joke, but somehow the name never went away. Thus, this rather silly and unwieldy title, soon compressed for convenience to the Bograts, or occasionally the Rats, was chosen for this vehicle for our heroes' adolescent dreams of musical coolness. The historic founding event, so it is recorded, occurred at the junction of Hadleigh Road and Marine Parade, Leigh-on-Sea, UK, at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. With a name like that originating in a slightly less than serious suggestion, some might say that the Bograts have been a joke right from the very start. Nonetheless, as a relatively unusual sort of name this side of the Irish Sea, it has tended to be imbued with a diversity of strange connotations, probably a reflection of the weirdness quotient of the kind of people associated with the band. Accordingly, when inquisitive people asked the obvious question, "Who's, Bernie?" the answer was unlikely to be a straightforward, "Oh, that's just a half-baked fantasy of a funny friend of Irish descent who used to live in Southend." Instead, the reply was more usually a knowing smile and half-baked mumbles along the lines of, "Bernie? Now, there's a story and a half." In such a way, the tale of the Bograts became embellished with all sorts of mumbo-jumbo, becoming ever more legendary than plausible, but nevertheless adding greatly to the overall cultural phenomenon. One of these mumbo-jumbos was written up into the Red Book of Bernie, an inventive document that consists of parallel universe alternate histories of the band. Just to get a flavour of this, let's hear what the Red Book has to say on the subject of who is Bernie. Bernie may be presented on a down-to-earth level as a literal figurehead, but this is just a subtle cover for the amazing fact that everyone is Bernie. Yes, even you. All of us are the source of our own strength, our own liberation, and groovy guitar riffs. So, at each balmy roller coaster feast of crazy music making that is a Bograts gig, the Bograts don their stage gear, wield their axes, and enact the message of Bernie. This goes hand in hand with ritualized chanting of musical mantras such as "Ooh, Tavoda, yeah, can I say that?" in an artistic exploration of the fine line between the sublime and the stupid. It goes almost without saying that great success is had in constantly pushing back the boundaries of the former, not to mention the latter. Not content with all this blather, the Red Book goes on to make wilder and even more pretentious claims. A common misunderstanding is that Bernie is literally a person, or at least some sort of small furry creature with musical leanings. Au contraire, mein Freunds, Bernie is like a spirit, the enigmatic lost chord that simultaneously resonates in everything and yet is nowhere to be found. Such intensely useful realizations developed as the band evolved. Any physical manifestations of the Bograts were almost incidental, merely a focus for the expression of the essential absurdity that infuses life. Gross snorting noises aside, it is a fact that the Bograts are everywhere yet existeth not was an approach that shaped the development of the band in the early stages of its career. Much mirth was invoked by arranging gigs and not turning up at the last minute. Spot the really funny schoolboy sense of humour. This happened at least twice, though overly fond memories would have it that it was really every weekend. Nevertheless, such a fearsome reputation was earned that at one point the local press was prompted to comment on the cancellation of a gig. Is nothing sacred?